All right, so basically I found out some interesting shit just trying to test some shit out. The crit has some interesting features to it. Basically, no matter the buffs, no matter the HP, no matter the yada yada blah blah, no matter what I have, what the opponent has, it always does the same amount of damage. So for example, if I hit my alternate count here with a critical, it will do exactly 16%, right? Now, imagine I have all these buffs, right? Tough Love, Ishin's Ring, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. If I start adding damage buffs on top of that, right? So say I hit him with a Province Draw, and then taunt, and then use my crit. I just lagged, but it's going to do the same 16% it did before. 14%, my mistake, 14%. It's going to do the same 14% it did before. Now, that's actually not all. Surprisingly, that's not all. Let's say I hit my ult with a little combo, right? Let's say I hit him with a Check Kick, and a Province Draw, and a Revenge, and a Master's Flourish. That leaves my ult with 72% HP. Where'd my ult go? 72% HP. Now, we're gonna use our crit. That did a whopping 6% damage, right? A whopping 6%. Simply summarize everything that I just simply summarize what's happening right now. The Umbrite Witherblade's crit doesn't do like this. It doesn't work the same as other crits, as where it does damage and then it does more damage based off of damage buffs, yada yada yada. It does a set number, and that set number doesn't scale. It doesn't change between how much HP you have, doesn't change with pen, it doesn't change with damage buffs. You do that set damage, and if you don't, and the less wither that person has, the less damage your crit does. I don't know if that's a bug, if it's an intended feature, but either way, that is ass. Like, that's just trash. Because that means not only do builds that have no damage buffs benefit off of that crit, that means builds that have damage buffs get hindered because of that crit. That build I was using has Manipulator, Tough Love, Taunt, and an Ishin's Ring. The whole point was centered around doing more damage with the crit. That is the only good part about the Umbrite Blade. And it doesn't even matter because the pen and damage doesn't scale. So the Umbrite Blade should either be doing more or less damage. Because if you have, like I said, it doesn't matter the HP you have. So if you have 100% fizz, it's still gonna do that same amount of damage because it just goes through it all. Like, you could have 400 HP or 600, it's gonna do that same amount of damage. So it, against tanky builds, that crit obviously is more effective, but against builds that are really, really like weak and are more centered around doing more damage and abusing the fact that I have to use an Ishin's Ring to even do damage with the M1s, they get buffed from me just using the crit because I don't do any more damage to them, because it doesn't matter what resistance they have. Pretty much, if you use the Umbrite Blade, you're automatically hindering yourself against builds that are centered around doing damage. And against builds that are tanky, you shine more. But even then, again, you don't do much damage. 6% is not a lot of damage. 6% from landing both crits is not a lot of damage, because that means, remember, keep in mind, you do 3% if you just land one of them, which is usually what happens. I'm gonna be honest, you're fighting a player who's not an idiot. That's usually what happens. A lot of time you hit one and then miss the other, or hit once and then sometimes you hit two, but not all the time. This build could be so much, like, I don't, that's just crazy.